Hey guys, what is going on? Welcome back to the hashtag Trust and Podcast. So I'm coming to you in all of my red-faced, wet hair, tie-dye, and striped pajama pants glory. And I feel like this real life look very much ties into what I'm going to talk about today. Because I am most certainly one of the people in this world who does not even pretend to try to show up as picture perfect every day of the week. Not even most days of the week. Because life is hard and life is messy. And in my current reality, showing up and pretending like it's not and like I'm perfect and fitting into my day a full face of makeup and this, it's just not my reality. Is sometimes, yes, of course. And I love those days and I feel like straight fire on those days. But at the same point, there are days that I don't, and there's nothing wrong with this version of me either, okay? So, real quick, I want to take a second to remind you about our brand new logo. I'm drinking out of my new logo mug again this week. And if you are not following us on our Facebook group, on our Facebook page, Instagram, TikTok, have downloaded our app, I highly recommend you do so. Not only do we have really great size inclusive, comfy, flattering, all the trendy clothes, but we also have the most incredible, supportive group of women in our community that I think you will absolutely love, because there's a little bit of everything and everyone happening in our group. And I just kind of love that. So I want to make sure that if you're not hanging with us there, you're definitely hanging with us there, okay? So I just want to lean in because I've been thinking about this and I knew this was going to be the topic as soon as I saw the movie, because I was literally sitting in the theater watching American Underdog, thinking about how I was going to talk about this for the podcast, because you guys know I love a really good motivational sports movie. I feel like it just gives me tons of life perspective and it just makes me feel good. And I love watching people work really hard and achieve their goals. Like nothing gets me a good cry like watching people work really hard and achieve what they want in life. It just like makes my heart burst, right? It's that social worker in me coming out. So we went and saw this movie and I've been thinking about it since, and I want to tell you why, because I feel like, so if you don't know, American Underdog is the story of Kurt Warner and his big almost like tagline, which I hate to dumb it down to that, but the thing they talk about the most is Kurt Warner worked so hard to get to the NFL, and up until 5 years before he was actually on an NFL field, he was stocking shelves at a grocery store. And not to say there's anything wrong with that, because there isn't. And I've worked plenty, lower paying, minimum wage, feels menial to other people job to make sure the bills are paid. And I feel like many people watching this can say the same. But I also feel like sometimes people get caught up in this like trap of, oh, well, I can't work here or do this, or I can't believe I'm this age and I'm not further along. I haven't achieved my goal yet. And they doubt themselves and they pity themselves and they feel terrible. And I felt like this movie was such a great reminder of, you know, becoming who you want to be is such a complicated journey. And it takes hard work and it takes focus and it takes a lot of what feels like setbacks and no's and all of the things to make sure you are ready to be where you have to be. And now if you know me in real life, you know that I am not a super religious person. So if you are, I appreciate that about you, but that's not my current space. So while many people I feel like will relate this back to like a path from God type story, which is fine, that's not the way that I'm going to take it today. So I hope you can understand our differences. But in this movie, you really see, without giving the whole movie away, Kurt starts off in college. He ends up graduating, meeting a girl, and ever since he was a kid, his goal is to be a professional NFL football player. He meets a girl, she's a single mom, and he makes the choice to take care of this family and be a part of this family. And that requires him to do things like work the overnights, stock in the grocery store shelves. And part of the movie, they talk about him stocking the Wheaties boxes. And somebody walking by makes a joke and it's like, oh, you're going to be on that box one day? And he was like, yeah, I hope to be. Because that was his goal and he never lost focus on that. And one of the quotes he said in this movie that it's just been stuck with me ever since I saw it, sorry, I felt like I was losing my voice, is sometimes you gotta do what you have to do until you get to do what you want to do. And when I heard him say that in this movie, he was referring to having to work overnight because his wife was like, no, you don't have to take this job. And he was like, no, it's for now. Sometimes you gotta do what you have to do until you can do what you want to do. And I feel like for me, I immediately put that into my own life's perspective, right? I think about my business and my college education and marriage and kids and all of those things, right? But everybody's journey is different. So I want you to really think about that sentence, that line from this movie. I know I've heard it other places as well. And how does that apply to your life? Are you in a season where you are doing what you have to do until you can do what you want to do? And to me, what that looks like is a couple of different things. And I feel like people really get caught up in the negativity of doing what they have to do sometimes, that they no longer make room to do the things to help them get to so they can do what they want to do. And let me break that down so it's less words. Kurt didn't just go stock groceries and then go home and not practice. He worked all the jobs, did all the things while also still training and being ready. So if he got the call from the NFL, he was ready to go, right? And something that's really talked about a lot lately is the idea of hustle culture. And while I agree and I've been there and I am personally trying really hard to not fall into that trap anymore, if you don't know what hustle culture is, it's this idea that you have to work all the time in order to achieve what you want. And what that leads to is depression, burnout, no longer loving what you're doing, and this constant feeling of I'm not doing enough. So no matter how big of a to-do list you finish that day, you're still left feeling like I'm not enough. I didn't do enough. I'm not where I don't know. I started doing letters and that made no sense. I'm not where so-and-so is because I'm not doing enough, right? And that's not the case. But I also feel like it's important too to realize that if you look at anyone's story in anything where they've achieved a goal, they worked hard. Did they take time to take care of themselves and take a break and come up for air? Yeah. Yeah, they did. Because if they didn't at some point, they would not be where they are today. They would have been completely burned out and given up. And I truly believe that. And even if successful people aren't telling you when they took their breaks, they took a break because everybody needs to sleep. Everyone needs to come up for air, right? But I think it's about prioritizing your time. And I think it's also about letting go of your pride a little bit. When I first started in this online selling world, I was going to college full-time. I also worked 2, sometimes 3 full-time jobs. That was my reality. I was in all the places doing all the things. And while that's not a reality for everyone, and I had the luxury of not having children, so I could work that much. Do I want to go back and do that? No, but if I had to, I would. And I would let go of that pride. If tomorrow I had to go sign up for a job that I don't really want to do, but it was the only job available for me to be able to pay my bills so I could still achieve my goals and work towards something, yeah, I would. And I'm at a place now that I'm secure enough that I feel like anyone who'd have a comment about that, I would go, wow. The fact that you feel that way, you have a lot of internal growth to do. You're a really unhappy person if you're judging me for trying to make sure that I can pay the rent. And I hope somebody hearing that can put that into perspective, because I feel like there are so many people out there who are afraid. They're on one side of the coin, I feel like. They're either afraid to do what they have to do because they're afraid of being judged by someone for not being where they quote unquote should be yet. Or they're so stuck in the doing what I have to do, and they're not working towards the next step, which is doing the work to get where I want to be able to do what I want to do. And I want you to think about that, because it's all a part of the process. Something else that was said during this movie was life is not about what you can achieve, it is what you can become. And I immediately, constantly relate that back to a journey. And I said it last week on the podcast, if I end up being this massive, crazy, worldwide boutique owner, but I have hurt people and dropped my quality of clothes and I no longer run a business that I'm proud of, was it really worth it? I know I'm not going to be happy, and I don't want that, because it was the journey. If it took me becoming somebody I can no longer recognize in the most negative way possible to achieve that so-called dream, was it worth it? It's the process, and it's how we believe in ourselves and treat ourselves and other people, and find the balance of working hard but being proud of ourselves and rewarding that with grace and time off and sleep. You know what I mean? Like, it's just that balance. And if you haven't seen this movie, I highly recommend it. You guys know I'm a sucker for a good sports movie, but I really, really love this. And I think it did a great, Kurt Warner, this is obviously his story. So I believe he was one of the producers on this. So I feel like, and hopefully the way they made this film, it really showed his journey. And that it wasn't all fantastic and sunshine and roses, but he wouldn't change a thing because it got him ready for where he needed to be. And there's a point towards the end of the movie where he finally is on this field and he's getting nervous. And his coach said to him, I gave you such a hard time and I made you wait because I needed to make sure you were ready. And like I said to you guys at the beginning, I'm not personally a religious person, so you can put this in whatever perspective makes sense for your reality. But whether it's God or yourself or just the universe, reality, whatever you think it is, maybe it does take you a little longer to achieve your dreams than it does the people down the street or next door. But maybe you just weren't ready until you actually achieved it. In that moment, you were now ready. I think about this a lot with my own journey with college. When I first got out of high school, I went to multiple community colleges and I've changed my major more times than I probably should admit, because I could get into a class and start taking it, and I did fine, but I had no connection. And here I am, 28? I'm 28, Devin? I don't even know how old I am. I think I'm 28. 28, 29, that doesn't feel right, 28. Here I am, 28, starting my master's program. And I've had plenty of people go, oh, you're still in school? Yeah, because maybe if I had gone when I was 20 or 21, I wouldn't have gotten what I needed to out of these classes. Maybe I just wasn't ready yet, and the path I took was the path I needed to be on. I've done enough therapy and enough work on myself and enough just introspective work to know that I wouldn't change a single piece of my story because it helped me grow into the person that I am today. Would I wish the bad things that happened to me on anybody else? Absolutely not. But I don't wish them away from myself either, because I know that they gave me perspective that I needed. And the fact that I could examine them, overcome them, and use them as a stepping stone, a stepping stone, a stepping block. What is that? Use them as a stepping stone to grow is exactly what I needed at this point in my life. And I just feel like this movie did all of those things for me. And I've been connecting my life back to so many things after watching this. I could probably quote it for days at you because it was just that fantastic. So I want to leave you with this note. No matter what you are looking for in regards to dreams, goals, just achieving something, I want you to find the balance, the alignment I've been using this year, because that's my word for 2022, of working hard and knowing what you want, but also giving yourself grace and knowing that if you stay the path and stay true who you are, you will get where you are supposed to be. You got to put in the work, but you also need to have grace and find that alignment. You could work like a dog to achieve your goals, but if you've left behind everything that's important to you, are you gonna like what your life looks like when you achieve it? So I just wanted to give you that food for thought. And if you haven't went and saw American Underdog, I highly recommend it. It was just so, so very good. All right, y'all, I'm gonna let you run. I hope you enjoyed this hardworking girl space because like I said, this was the perfect outfit to show up in. If you were watching on YouTube, you're like, dang girl, you look real good. I know, it's not what you thought, but it's fine. Because I've been packing orders and writing schedules and business goals and doing all kinds of things that didn't require me to get dolled up today. So here we are in an oversized sweatshirt and a very red face. All right, y'all. I love your sweet faces. I mentioned at the beginning, but I want to mention it again. If you have not downloaded our fabulous, fabulous app, I highly recommend it. It is so, so very good. Has all of our goodies on it. We upload things, new items twice a week, every single week. I would love for you guys to check it out and download it. It's High Class Ass Boutique and more. Make sure you're following us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, either Shop HCS Boutique or High Class Ass Boutique and more. You can find us in all the places. If you could, please rate this podcast, leave it a review, share it, comment it. Any of those things that you were able to do on whatever platform you were listening and watching on are crazy beneficial for this podcast to hopefully explode and be very, very popular one day. So please take a second and give us a quick rate and a review. And I will see you guys next week. I appreciate you and your gorgeous face.